Everyone, this is not a drill. Kuro Games has officially revealed CARTETHYIA'S animations. Let's talk about it. My name is Juice, and let's get into it. Oh my goodness gracious. Everyone, this came out of literally nowhere. Literally nowhere. An official sneak peek teaser at CARTETHYIA'S animations. Now that is exciting. I made a video on her not too long ago talking about what I personally think of her, and what I thought she might end up being. And goodness me, it appears as if Fleurdelys being in her splash art was not a drill. She actually has Fleurdelys within her kit. Now that is exciting. We do quite literally get a 2-in-1 deal. Now that is incredible. I am very, very happy about that. In terms of the footage we were actually shown, we got to see a little bit of CARTETHYIA'S 3D model, which of course looks very good as always. I mean, it's Wuthering Waves, the 3D models are always very nice in this game. We saw some of her basic attacks, which look absolutely beautiful with some blue slashes, and then we saw both of her ultimates. Now that is crazy. The transformation is just next level. They somehow keep upping themselves when it comes to animation quality. I genuinely don't know how this game manages to do it. I mean, my hot take is I actually still think the 1.0 characters look very good animation-wise. I still think Jian and Yinlin look really cool, but you compare them to the current day, and I would 1000% understand if somebody was to talk about animation power creep being a thing, because holy do they somehow keep improving. Here I was, sitting being very impressed by Shakona's ultimate, which for the record, I still think her ultimate looks absolutely lovely, and then this CARTETHYIA drip reveal comes out of nowhere and just totally shows up every character in my opinion, because personally I think the animation looks really good. I was very, very impressed. A whole lot of blue. Interesting. It appears as if Fleurdelys is going to be like an enhanced form for CARTETHYIA, which is very interesting. It's also kind of cool because if you think about it, it's like having a playable boss in-game, because we've been able to fight against Fleurdelys before, so there's also that little bit of novelty to it. And I'm really, really glad they didn't scrap the Fleurdelys design. I wasn't really sure if we were going to get her because she's so large in-game. Like, in that scene, wherever CARTETHYIA and Fleurdelys are putting their hands next to each other, I just thought out loud, either Fleurdelys is really, really big, or CARTETHYIA is really, really small, or both, because what the heck. So I wasn't actually sure if they were going to really go through and put Fleurdelys in the game because she has such a unique model, and I'm really glad they did end up committing and putting her in, because goodness, she looks so cool. We see that CARTETHYIA, whenever she enters her enhanced state, seems to do some special basic attacks that are more enhanced than her regular base form ones, which leads me to wonder how important basic attacks are going to be with her kit. Though then again, we should remember, I don't believe we've seen her resonant skill yet, we just saw her ultimates and some of the basic attacks, but I do believe that there is some level of importance there. We also got to see the glorious ult finisher. Wow! He literally charges up a humongous blade and launches it down to create this absolutely humongous blast of Wuthering Waves. Like, this truly is the Wuthering Waves character, seeing as she's all about the waves. If you can't tell, I'm quite enthusiastic about this character. I'm really looking forward to her upcoming release, and listen, I was already sold on CARTETHYIA because I thought that her character writing was really good, but these animations, if I wasn't sold already, then I might as well have been double sold on her because this is just next level stuff. It's got me thinking, where the heck are we going to be like 2 to 3 years from now in terms of animations? Like, what the heck are we gonna see? Are we somehow going to get this animation crypt? It's just ridiculous how good it looks. And okay, like I said, I have an opinion that all of the characters in this game honestly have very high quality animations, but I would like to point out, CARTETHYIA is a Sentinel Resonator, Jinshi is a Sentinel Resonator. If you compare both of their animations, I do have to say, CARTETHYIA definitely does feel like a step up above Jinshi. Now don't get it twisted, I do still really like Jinshi's animations, but I do want to point out how, I have to say, CARTETHYIA does really feel like a Sentinel Resonator. You can feel it in her kit. Now, in terms of what we're missing here, like I've said, we didn't really see the resonant skill. That's fine. Maybe we did and I just didn't catch it, but it appeared to mostly be a showcase of basics and liberations. We didn't see the outro skill, but hey, that's fine. It's not like any of us are sitting here chomping at the bit going, oh no, I'm not going to pull CARTETHYIA or Fleurdelys if the outro skill is bad. And same for the intro skill. I don't really think that matters all that much. Kuro Games basically selected the most important part of the kit that pretty much everybody would want to see, you know, the big thing, the main meat, if you will, what is going to cause people to pull or not pull, you know? They picked the absolute prime aspect of her kit. They picked the prime aspect of her kit to show off. And I actually think that was a pretty good choice, because it means there is still a bit of mystery about her. Because we're still lacking so many details in regards to CARTETHYA, we're still left guessing, and I think that's a really good thing. At least in my opinion, I feel like this was a very good way to satiate everyone's interest. I'm sure that literally everybody is wanting to know what this character does, and by doing this, pretty much everyone's going to be able to plan whether they care about her or not, because I feel like animations are a very big selling point for a character. So honestly, good move on Kuro's end, I think that's cool. And second of all, it appears like she does seem to be a DPS. I mean, we'll have to see. It's not like she's absolutely definitively going to be a first slot teammate. Okay, who am I kidding? Look at those animations. She is definitely a first slot teammate. Like, there is no question about it. Now, she could be a second slot teammate, and I say that because there are plenty of second slot teammates that do damage and then swap off. For example, the Silly Painter Joja, Cantarella, Brant Wuthering Waves. You get the idea. Doing damage is not exclusively a main DPS first slot teammate thing. But judging by how impactful her animations are, and how much, focus there is on her individual field time, I would assume that she is probably the main DPS. I would be surprised if they put all of that effort into her animations, and she ends up being a healer or something, you know what I mean? I was wondering if they were going to take the DPSing avenue for a character like CARTETHYA, because she's a Sentinel Resonator, right? And we already have a DPSing Sentinel Resonator. So it makes me wonder, is the next Sentinel Resonator that we're going to get after this going to be a support or a healer? Or are they generally just going to keep with the trend of making Sentinel Resonators DPSs from here on out? I mean, we'll have to wait and see until the third one. I feel like that's the only time where we can really mark down a sort of pattern. So by the time we get to the third region and we get our third Resonator, then fine, we'll know then. But at least for now, it seems to be a curious case of a second DPS Sentinel Resonator. I mean, like I said, we don't really have full information. We don't even know what the kit is. We've just seen these awesome animations, but I feel like we can still infer quite a lot from them, which is really cool. It just keeps us guessing. This is such a good, fuel to the hype. At least I'm excited about it. I think it's awesome. After watching her animations, though, I do wonder if Wuthering Waves ever intended to add a water element of some variety. I mean, it's not like the Wuthering Waves elements matter that much anyway, so, who cares? But it still leads me to wondering if that was something that was ever in the cards, seeing as how water-based these animations are, how Wuthering Wavesy they are, if you will, haha. But either way, it doesn't really matter, just some food for thought. But, geez, Kuro, this really is some food for thought for basically the entire player base. We've had CARTETHYA herself already confirmed to be an arrow character, but let's be real, we could all see that coming considering that Fleurdelys herself drops an arrow 4-cost echo. But at least now we really know what to pair these animations to. This is an arrow character. So, arrow DPS. Very interesting, considering that Shakona is coming out soon, and she's an arrow erosion character, which leads me to believe maybe Kuro is going to make Fleurdelys and CARTETHYA work with arrow erosion. Now pair that with the fact that we got Arrow Rover during the Fleurdelys boss battle, so I do have an inkling that she might have something to do with that negative status. Now, even if she does end up being an Arrow DPS, I am not benching my G on. I'm still going to use him in endgame because he is a good-looking dude, dang it, and he is one of the few good-looking dudes that actually exist in this game. So as long as she doesn't steal my Mortefi so that I can keep using him comfortably, I'm happy. But I honestly doubt that she's going to use him anyway. She's probably going to use either newer teammates or even Shakona, considering that those two are basically releasing back-to-back. Here's hoping that Arrow Rover is going to be the free-to-play friendly option if you don't have Shakona, or I at least hope that she does have a flexible degree of team building. And I say this because Jinchi herself had quite a flexible degree of team building. You have so many options that you can use for her. I mean, granted, whenever Jinchi first came out, you had Yuanwu and Yinlin, and people only really figured out Yuanwu later on. So I suppose the Jinzhou Magistrate only really had 2 options until later on, but she definitely has a whole lot of options to this day, and literally a patch after she came out, Joja had released, which increased her options to 3, and now we have Brant Wuthering Waves, and now we have Cantarella, and the list goes on, you get the idea. We have quite a few teammates for the Magistrate these days. So considering that, I would assume that CARTETHYA might release in a similar state with like 2 to 3 good options on launch. I don't really know what to expect because we don't really have a whole lot to go on other than the animations and the fact that we've had our element confirmed. But you know what? That is enough for one thing. Food for thought. I'm definitely going to be thinking about this a lot over the next few days because I am excited, that is for sure. I'm really happy personally that they ended up giving her animations that are just as good as the story she has. I'm very, very pleased about that, in fact. Feels like they really did her justice. I am actually curious. Are you somebody that originally wasn't interested in CARTETHYA but now wants to pull her after seeing the animations? Or are you somebody that was sold from the very beginning? Let me know down below. I'd love to hear your thoughts. As always, I have a ZZZ second channel. Head on over and subscribe if you're interested in some fun, silly, zizzy content. I'd also like to mention that I stream on Twitch. I stream once a week, every week on Saturdays, starting from 3 PM UK time. Come along so we can play Wuthering Waves, ZZ, and do some other fun stuff together. Hopefully this video was able to tell you about CARTETHYIA'S animations. This has been Juice, signing out. And may all of our CARTETHYIA polls in the future be blessed by the Sentinel. Oh wait,